Hi guys, today I'm going to be showing you a brand that was very new to me up until recently. I saw my friend Leora mention this in her Will I Buy It, and it was like at the very end of the video. I've never seen anybody talk about this brand before. I've never seen anybody use this brand before, and I don't know if it's a new brand at all, but when I saw her mention this collection, I was like, wow, that is so beautiful, and I literally went on the site and I bought it right away. So we're mostly going to be focusing on the Metamorphosis palette, and this is from a brand called BBeautiful Cosmetics. I will of course link it down below if you want to go check it out, but I'll show you what the palette looks like because it is absolutely stunning. Like, this color story, it blew me away when I first saw it because I feel like this is just so, maybe unique is the wrong word, but to me it felt like something new, and I just think it is so pretty. The only downside to this palette is that you can't buy the palette individually. You have to buy the full collection that the palette comes with. So I'll show you the rest of the things. It's not a lot of things, but it is a little bit annoying when maybe you don't want the other things. Maybe you just want the palette and then you have to like add on all these extra things and it's going to end up costing more. And I think the whole collection was like $68, something like that. It does come with a pair of lashes, which I have used. I literally cannot find them. I am going to show you 3 more looks that I've done with this palette after we're going to do one on camera. So I am wearing these lashes in the first look if you want to see them. They're a little too much for me. They're just, it's a lot of lash. It's just a lot of hair, like a lot of wisps and a lot of layers of wisps. And for me, it took over the eye look a little bit, so not my favorite lashes, but they seem like really nice quality, and I think if you are someone who likes like bigger lashes with like a ton of volume, I think you're going to like those. The collection also comes with a mirror, which is just a small handheld mirror, and it also has 2 lip products. So there is a gloss here, which has kind of little small purple shimmers in it. I wore this in the third look, or like the last look that you're going to be seeing in this video with the lip liner, and it feels more like a lip oil. It's very kind of liquidy and runny and feels really nice on the lips. You can barely see the color of it at all, and it smells divine. So I really like this product actually, and I also really like this gloss. Now this is, I feel like, an interesting formula. It is what I'm wearing today on my lips. I just put this on and it says it's a glossy liquid lipstick, and I totally get that because when you first put it on, it literally feels like you're putting on a liquid lipstick. Like, it's weird, but then it just doesn't dry down. Like, it's just a gloss that feels like a liquid lipstick when you first apply it. Like, it's kind of runny and liquidy, and it settles in your lips really nicely. Like, you'll see throughout the video. It's very, very comfortable, and I love the color of it. Like, I feel like this is almost my perfect nude gloss. So if you're of my skin tone, I think you're going to really like this. I think it is beautiful. I am wearing it with a lip liner though. This is just BFF from ColourPop. There are a couple other things that I want to show you in this video as well because I got a package from Suva Beauty. They sent me an email a little while ago and they were like, hey, can we send you some products? We know you've been a fan of our products in the past and we'd like for you to try some of our new ones. And I was like, I would love that because Suva Beauty is a fun brand and I feel like no one really talks about them anymore, and I guess it's because they haven't really come out with a lot of new products lately. So we're going to test out some of the things that they sent me, not all of them. They did send me 2. I'll show you the things that they sent me though, just in case it's something that you're interested in. So I have not taken these out of the packaging yet, but these are, I want to say they're like colored bases. So they sent me a black one and a white one. So these are like for eyeshadows. So you can put these down first and then put colors over the top. I think this is really cool, especially the white one. If you want to do like a pastel look and really make them pop, having a white base can be helpful. Not something that I see myself using a ton, but I also have a black one here, which is really, really nice. And I find that especially with multi-chromes, like black base multi-chromes, using a black base is really, really nice. They also sent me, this is probably the thing that I'm the most excited about. This is actually new in their collection, I'm pretty sure. This is the UV Festival palette, and this is one of their water-activated liner palettes. I don't know if they have multiples of these, but basically it's a matte, a shimmer, a matte, a shimmer, a matte, a shimmer in all of these, and they're all like split pans, and it also comes with a tiny little brush which looks amazing. Super excited to be using some of these today. You guys know I've been very much on the water activated liner trend lately, or really for the past year. I've been really having fun with the water activated liners, so I'm excited to test those. They also sent me this palette, which is the Topper palette. So this is definitely the one that we're going to be using today because there aren't really a lot of like inner corner shades and highlight shades in the eyeshadow palettes or eyeshadow palette. And I also want to use this on my face as my highlighter today. So let me go ahead and do some quick swatches of this just so we can kind of see what we're working with. But this is obviously just going to be like that iridescent highlighting palette that Blend Bunny has, and that, ooh, that is pretty, that other people have. They're a little bit on the dry side, I feel like, but they also might look amazing on the face. These are really pretty. Like, let me zoom you in a little bit so you can see better. But these are beautiful. So let's just start by using one of these on the face. I want to use, I think, the yellow one. Maybe I'll use the red one because I feel like I always use yellows in these kind of palettes. So let's do the red. This one is called Daiquiri. So Daiquiri, why is that a hard word to say for me? I'm trying to pick it up on my brush. It's a little tough to pick up, but let's go ahead and see. Yeah, I need to kind of dig my brush in there a little bit more. Yeah, so it's really just like a pink iridescent highlighter. I do feel like it's almost hard panning a little bit already. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see that in the pan, probably not, but like it's starting to form a little bit of like a hard pan surface here, which some palettes do that, but you can still pick up product. Like some of the shades in my Blend Bunny palette looks like it has hard pan, but it doesn't, and it still picks up product very nicely. It does seem to be able to pick up this one as well, but just something to kind of keep in mind. And I feel like the formula is a little bit drier, especially drier than my Blend Bunny one, so I don't see myself reaching for this formula over the Blend Bunny, but I do think it looks nice. It almost leaves a little bit of, is it leaving a little bit of a cast? Does it have like a little too much white in it maybe? Yeah, I feel like it's not the perfect iridescent highlighting palette for me. It does say it's a topper palette though, so maybe it is meant more for eyeshadows, but I feel like then they should be a little bit creamier and a little bit more, what am I trying to say, just like smoother, because these are a little bit chunky. It could just be the shade that I use as well, but I wouldn't say that this is going to become a favorite of mine. Let me show you the other two things that they sent me as well. So they did send me an eyeshadow palette, but I'm not going to be using this one because it has a ton of pressed glitters in it, and you guys know I don't do pressed glitters, and I've gotten questions from a lot of people in the past, like, why don't you use pressed glitters? Like, why do you hate them so much? And honestly, it's just because they're not safe to use on the eyes. Like, I have tried pressed glitters in the past, and I struggled to remove them properly. I've gotten them in my eyes, it hurts, and I just don't want to deal with it. Like, I know you can use tape and stuff to remove it, but like, it's just a pain in the ass. Like, I'm sorry, and I also just, I don't want to risk it. Like, for me, it's not worth it. It's a beautiful palette if you like pressed glitters. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them in here, and they look really nice, but for me, I can't use a palette with half of them being pressed glitters. Like, that's just not worth it for me, so I'm going to give this to someone who likes pressed glitters and who I know are going to use them, and that person is not me. The last thing that they sent me was a brush set, which I've kind of taken them out of the plastic and stuff already, so I'll show you what they look like. These are really, really fun. Like, these are bright ass brushes. Wow, in the camera they look wow, that's very smooth, Annette. On camera they look very much like a light orange, but in real life they are literally like neon bright, like almost a darker orange. They definitely don't look true to color when I'm showing you right now because they are so insanely, like, you can probably see it here a little bit better. Like, the color of these is just crazy. So we'll see if I'm going to use some of these today. The shapes aren't like my perfect shapes, but I think I'll be able to use a couple of them at least so we can test out the quality. So I'm gonna start just priming my eyes like I usually do here with my Natasha Denona eyeshadow base. This might be a bit of a longer video just because I am going to be showing you 3 look at the end of this as well. I use this brush to blend out the eyeshadow primer with because this brush is too large for me to use with eyeshadows, and so I like using these kind of brushes just to blend out my eyeshadow primer, just to get some use out of them. There is a small blending brush in here, so I think I'm gonna try to use this one. This is the F, was it F? No, it's just a 411. Why I read F, I have no idea. So let's see, what haven't I used in this palette so far? I've used a lot of these shades in the looks that I've done. I haven't really used the neutral kind of orangey shade or the bronzes, but I'm not really feeling that. I would say the only shades I'm not the biggest fan of in this palette when swatching them is the very light pink and the white, and those aren't really colors that I use anyway. Outside of that, I've had a really good time with this palette, and I'm just excited to do another look with this. I'm tempted to do something sort of in a blue family. I also haven't used this shade, so maybe I'll go oh, maybe I'll use these two together. Like that could be kind of fun. Do more of a light look with a graphic liner. Maybe that's what I'll do. I'm gonna dip into this one just because I really want to try this color. I haven't tried it yet. This palette actually doesn't have names in it, which I'm just now realizing because I haven't had to look for the names before because I've just been pointing at them. So I'm just gonna go ahead and stamp this in the front portion of my crease. Like, see how nice that is? Like, that is such a pretty color, and I think this is gonna look so fun with the purple next to it as well. I tried to do a couple of different kinds of looks with this palette, and some have done more blending than others, and they're just different, and I just wanted to have some fun with this. Like I said, I'll show you the looks after, but I think that if you like this color story, I think you're really going to like this palette. The formula reminds me a little bit of Cosmic Brushes, I would say, is like the closest that I can get to a formula that it seems like similar to. The mattes are not the most pigmented upon first application. Like, some of them are more pigmented than others, but I find them very easy to work with and pretty buildable. I personally haven't had any issues with any of them so far. Obviously it's a large palette and I'm not going to be able to really test out like all the shades and put them all to the test in every way possible. And it is a new to me brand, which is why I wanted to do, you know, multiple looks. And I feel like 4 looks is probably not going to be enough to give you like a very thorough review on the formula on this, but so far I've been really liking it and I find it very easy to work with. The shimmers are not the most like special shimmers. They're very pretty. They're kind of just like your traditional like metallic formula, I guess I would say. There are a couple more satin shades in here as well, but those are on the darker side, which I prefer that if there is going to be satins at all, I do want them to be darker satins because I find them to just be easier to work with and it just works better for me. But in general, these are just very, very nice metallic shadows. Let's see, I'm gonna use this shade next. I'm just taking the same brush. I just wiped it off a little bit on my towel in front of me. And I'm just gonna use that in the outer portion of my crease here and kind of like tap these over each other without over blending. Like, look how pretty that is. Such a beautiful color. Like, I wonder if the reason why nobody talks about this brand is because it's not an English speaking brand. I wonder if it's like Spanish or something. Like, I went on their Instagram and I couldn't understand like what any of their posts said. I'm sorry, I don't know exactly like where they're from. I think they're located in the States though. But I will have the link down below if you want to go check them out. I'm gonna take the same shade underneath my eye as well, and I keep looking over at the water activated liner palette and I'm like, none of those colors are gonna go with this look. Like, what was I thinking? But we'll try to make it work anyway, and I'll definitely make sure that I'm using more of those liners in future looks and stuff because I feel like with summer, I'm way more likely to want to do lighter eyeshadow looks, and when I do that, I prefer to pull in something a little bit fun to kind of go with it because I feel like with lighter looks, it makes more sense to use like those extra little things that I have laying around, like, you know, my little gemstones and my liners and stuff like that. I just feel like it makes the look a little bit more fun. I would say the brushes that I've used so far, I really like them. They're nice and soft. They are synthetic brushes and they're doing a really good job. Like, I'm not having any issues really with them. It's just, I feel like with brush sets, it's hard for me to recommend a brush set to anybody because there's always going to be brushes in a brush set that just aren't going to work for you. Unless you're someone who's not very picky with brushes, but I'm super picky with the brushes that I use, and I know for myself that there is not a perfect brush set out there for me and for my preferences. So I just don't really buy brush sets ever, but I also just have way too many brushes because I get sent a lot of brushes and I'm very grateful for that. And I've been lucky to be in that position where, like, you know, I've gotten a lot of brush sets sent to me and I've kind of just picked out the brushes from those sets that I like, or like just have individual brushes from you know, brands that I keep using over and over because I found the ones that I love now. I think I'm going to deepen this up a little bit because I just want a little bit more drama. Now, what am I going to use to do that with? I could use a blue just to add in a little bit of blue without making it too dark. I don't really want to go this dark. I could also use the purple. The purple is a beautiful, beautiful purple, which I used in my, was it the first look I did? I think so. I think this is the shade that made me go, wow, like I really like this formula and I really like this palette. So we're going to just go ahead and use that to kind of deepen this look up. I don't want it to be too dark, but I do want some depth just in the outer corner. So I'm just kind of patting the shade on where it is that I want it, and then I'm gonna go in and start blending them together. Like, look how nicely that build and blend. Like, that looks so good. So I've basically used this brush for all of these three colors, and it looks flawless, honestly. It's performing really nicely. I wonder if they sell these brushes individually, because I really like the shape and the size of this one. I think it is wonderful, and maybe it could be a good alternative to my Rephr 13 if you're looking for a synthetic brush, if they do sell these individually. Like I said, this was the 411 brush. I'm gonna take some of the shade that I used in the front portion and just put a little bit of that underneath my eye here as well. I love this shade. I cannot believe I haven't used it yet. I really was not expecting it to be this punchy. I'm not sure if you paid much attention to the swatches, but I don't feel like this palette swatched that well, if I'm being honest, but they just perform so nicely on the eyes, which just goes to show, like, do not judge a palette based on a swatch, because swatches don't mean anything. Like, you can make any palette look good if you just swatch things like in a different way. Like if you swatch things over a primer, like things are going to look better. If you swatch it on like a wet arm or something, you can make any formula look good. But I feel like this formula didn't look that great swatched out, but like, look, it looks amazing on the eyes. I'm gonna take the same brush that I used for the shadow underneath my eye. This is the 418. I'm just gonna use that to put on some glitter primer on my lid, and then we're gonna do some shimmers. I haven't 100% decided yet what it is that I want to do, but I want to try to find some colors that are going to go with these crease colors, and I think the one that I haven't used in here is going to be the kind of pinky purpley one in here. That one's going to go nicely, and then maybe I'll do this one in the front portion of my lid. I feel like those are going to be the ones that are going to work the best with this look. So this is definitely more of a sheer formula, and I noticed that when I swatched it as well. So we'll see how it ends up looking on the eyes here. I don't think this is going to be the most metallic out of the bunch, but I think it's going to look really nice. Yeah, this is a really pretty color. It doesn't have any like sparkles or anything like that to it, but I have found that these have worn quite nicely on me. Really all the shimmers that I've used, I've had a little bit of creasing on them, but nothing that's not fixed with like one tap over it like one time during the day, and then I'm totally fine for the rest of the day. So I really appreciate that when I can tap over the creasing if it does happen, because I feel like it's just inevitable with most formulas that I am going to get a little bit of creasing, but as long as it's fixable, don't really mind it. Yeah, that looks really pretty. I'm gonna go in with the other kind of pinky shade, no, not pinky, like purpley shade up here. This is more of a silvery purple, and I think this is gonna look nice in the front portion of my lid. I don't really feel like I have a lot of other options that are going to go with this, so I'm just gonna put that right here and kind of try to merge everything together. Just to finish off, I'm going to go back to the palette from Suva, and I'm gonna grab the iridescent green shade here. We're gonna see how these perform more as eyeshadows. I'm gonna give this a little spritz of some Fix Plus though, because I do want this to be nice and intense. I'm gonna put that on the front portion of the lower lash line. We'll see how this layers. Yeah, that looks really nice. It's a little bit of a chunky dry formula, like I said in the beginning. It's not my favorite when it comes to iridescence, but I do think that it looks nice. Gonna do a little bit of this on my brow bone as well with one of the small flat brushes in this set. And I'm gonna take some of the dark blue, I think, in this palette and just do a little bit of a graphic liner in the outer portion of my lid. I don't really feel like any of these other colors are gonna go except for maybe this one. But like I said, I'll play more with this in a future video and kind of let you know how I feel about this. But I already know that I like the formula of the water activated liners from Suva. I'm trying to find the little cap that I usually put water in. Ah, right here. This is what I do. I have a little cap here that I have from a bottle, and then I have a water bottle next to me that is like pretty much empty, and I just put the tiniest amount of water like in this little cap. And I'm gonna take the tiny little brush that the palette comes with, just kind of dip this into the water and then start swirling it into the water activated liner to get it to be the consistency that I want. It's probably gonna have to take some trial and error if you're not used to using water activated liners, just to get them to the point where they're going to be the easiest to apply. I always find that when I'm first kind of breaking in a water activated liner, I need a little bit more water just that first time around, just to kind of loosen up the formula a little bit. But that is looking really nice. I'm just going to do this without talking because I cannot talk and do liner at the same time. Not sure they are perfectly even, but this is where I'm going to leave it because I don't want to mess it up. And I will say, it's been a while since I've used the water activated liners from Suva. I only had one in the past and I didn't really play a whole lot with it, but I feel like I like the glisten ones a little bit more, just like consistency wise. I feel like these were a little bit sheerer. And I felt like I needed to go over it with like a second layer, which I don't really need to do that most of the time with the glisten ones. So maybe it's just like I need to get used to this formula too. I don't want to judge this really yet until I've played with it more, but the color is really pretty and I'm excited to play more with it because I do really enjoy water activated liners. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and finish off with the eye look. Alright, so this is the look all done. I just did some lashes and something in my waterline. I did this one from ColourPop, which is a package that I got from them yesterday or 2 days ago. 2 days ago. I got a package with all of their new eyeliners and I was so excited, and I was honestly going to buy this one myself because I saw they were going to release it and this color looks so beautiful, and I was so excited when they sent me these. This is the shade called Icebreaker. It's so beautiful. I used one of these yesterday too. I used the like metallic green one. You'll see that probably in one of the looks that I've done with these, and I love the ColourPop liners. I think they're great. I think they're affordable. They last well on me. I don't have any problems really. I haven't had any problems with any of them lately breaking. They used to be like worse quality, but they've definitely reformulated, and I feel like these are really, really nice. I always recommend ColourPop if I get questions like what are the best, you know, colorful liners for the waterline, or if you don't have any, you want to kind of try to get into it and dabble with it, go to ColourPop. They just have so many options, and I think that they probably sell these in a set, and if you wanted to get like a ton, probably very good value. I will say though, a lot of these are metallics, which isn't my favorite when it comes to liners in my waterline, but like half of them are just regular, and I'm gonna get so much use out of all of these. I'm so excited to have these. If you're wondering what my lashes are, it's the Allura Lights from House of Lashes. I haven't used these in what feels like forever, and I really like them. I need to kind of bring these back again. I think they're beautiful lashes. So let me, before I give you my final thoughts on the palette, let me go ahead and show you the other 3 looks that I've done as well, because I think they all turn out really good. The first look that I did was obviously my first impression with the palette. I hadn't used it before, so I was like, let me test out some of the pinks and purples, kind of see how that goes, and I love the look that I did with that. I think it turned out so good. Again, like the purple, the dark purple matte just performs so well. Like this is a high-end purple. This is a purple that you would see in like a Blend Bunny palette. Like the depth of it, the blendability of it, the buildability, everything about this purple is just amazing. I absolutely love it. And it was also my first time putting the shimmers on my lid, and the shimmers are just really pretty. Like they're just really pretty smooth metallics. And I think that if you're sick of all the like duochromes, all the putty shades, all of the like stuff that's trending right now, if you just want a basic metallic shimmer, I think you're going to really like this palette. Like I said, they wore pretty well on me. I had to tap it out like once during the day, and then it was totally fine the rest of the day, and it looked really, really good. So I can't really complain at all about the shimmers and the longevity, because all shimmers crease on me to an extent. It's just a matter of like, can I fix it when it does? So I really like the first look. The second look I did was a little bit of a let me try something new and hope for the best. So I did a bit of a full cut crease moment, which isn't really something that I do very often, and I really wasn't planning on actually cutting my crease with concealer, but it just turned out very messy and I wasn't able to be precise enough the first go around, and then I tried to clean it up and it got all over my lid, and then I was like, well, let me just put some blue all over here because it's already blue everywhere anyway, so we're just gonna see what happens. And I put some of the teal shade underneath my eye just so I could test out another shade, and I think in the end it turned out okay. I think I saved the look, but I don't think that like full cut creases like that are that flattering on me. I don't think it's like my best look ever, but I think it was fun to experiment, and I think it was fun to just try something new because I don't really do shapes like that. So I just kind of wanted to see how it would go, and I mean, I like the look, but it's not my favorite look that I've ever done. The last look that I did, however, I really ended up liking. I wanted to play with a lot of the greens in this palette because honestly, there's a lot of greens in this palette. Like there's more greens than I thought when I first started looking at it because a lot of the shimmers are green. So you don't have that many options when it comes to shimmers that aren't green. I mean, there's obviously a few, but the majority of them, I would say like 6 out of the like 9 are pretty much on the green scale, which I don't really mind that because I love green eyeshadow. So I just did a very basic look with some green shimmers on the lid, and that was pretty much it. In this look, I'm also wearing the gloss that I said was in the collection as well, so you can see what that looks like. But overall, my experience with this palette have been great. So I think if this is a palette that you think that you're going to like from what I've told you and from what I have shown you, I think that this would probably be a good palette in your collection. I think you're going to really enjoy it. So like I said before, the products will be linked down below. I don't have any affiliation with the brand or anything like that, and I can't vouch for like what their customer service or anything like that is like if you end up having problems, but I just kind of took a leap of faith with this collection and ordered it because I thought it was beautiful, and I'm so happy I did because I really enjoy all the looks that I've done, and I know that this palette is going to end up quite high in my ranking my next palettes, which I really need to film that because I think I have at least 15 palettes that I haven't ranked yet. I'm just so far behind. Story of my life though. As for the Suva products, I'm not the biggest fan of the toppers. If you don't have a product like this, maybe you would like this, but then I would say just buy the Blend Bunny palette because it's just better. Yeah, it's also just like the pans are very large. It's a very large palette, so the Blend Bunny palette in comparison, if you want to see the two side by side, I mean, obviously this is just way more easy to store and compact, and it has more shades in it too. So not the biggest fan of the toppers palette. The brushes are really nice. Like a lot of these brushes are brushes that I'm gonna see myself using quite a bit because I like the shapes of them. I'm gonna obviously have to keep playing around with some of these, but I really like the ones that I used, and it didn't feel like I was using new brushes, which that to me is like a sign that I like the brushes because it didn't feel like I was having to work for it. Like I felt like I already had this brush in my collection and it was already a brush that I love and use a lot. And so this one in particular, the F11, I'm going to be using a lot because that is a really nice small blending brush that I'm gonna see myself reaching for. And I also like that there's a liner brush in this set as well. And yeah, I really like the brushes. I think they're nice. Let's see, what else? The water activated liners. I'm gonna have to keep playing with this formula and kind of see how I feel about it. I don't know if I'm gonna end up using any of the metallics. I don't know how to use the metallic water activated liner. Like I'm not a metallic liner kind of person, and I also can't use this kind of formula on my top lid because it will transfer, and it's also not waterproof because it's water activated. So with my hooded eyes, having something like this is not going to work on my top lid, and I've also tried the trick with like setting it with Duraline. It doesn't work for me. It still transfers. So to me, these are only going to be used for like graphic liner work, and so for that reason, I just don't see myself using the metallic ones. I don't know. Not really sure, but oh my god, this one and this one and this one, I'm definitely going to be using these. So yeah, I will keep you posted on this probably in my makeup diary series. Just check out those videos if you want to see like updated thoughts on a lot of these products, because I don't always mention everything that I'm using on my face in these kind of videos. So I think that's going to be it for today. Thank you so much for watching as always. If you want to see some other multiple look videos, I guess I have a playlist. I'll put that right there. And if you're new, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video.